Hey guys, it's Brent here. I wanted to do a review of the Victorinox Traveler Lite today. I noticed that there weren't a tremendous amount of reviews out there on the internet looking into the knife in much detail, so I wanted to go ahead and do my own today. I've been carrying this knife for about 3 months now, and it's been my daily driver. It's got the usual features with any Swiss Army knife. The small pin blade, the larger main blade, it's got a Phillips head screwdriver, locks at 90 degrees. It's got a pair of scissors, the full-sized ones. A bottle opener with a flathead screwdriver and a wire stripper. A can opener with a smaller flathead screwdriver. And the usual toothpick, tweezers, even though they're a smaller pair, which is understandable because all three tools are on under the same scales. And lastly, the pressurized ballpoint pen that writes in blue ink. On the back side, we've got our typical corkscrew with a screw-out miniature flathead screwdriver intended for eyeglasses. The usual parcel carrier. And on the back of the parcel carrier, I don't know if you can see it, it's not smooth. It's very rough, and it's meant to be used as a nail filer if need be. And lastly, on the back is the reamer. Now, on to a few of the more exciting functions that make the Traveler Lite such an awesome knife. First is the flashlight. It comes out here, and you do this to replace the batteries. There's not really much point to bringing it out. It's usually left in the closed position. The on switch is located on top. You slide it back and the light turns on. It's not the brightest light in the world, but it will sure light up if you're trying to find your way in a dark room or in a tent. It's absolutely fantastic for that. And on to probably the last and most notable feature is all of the functions Victorinox has managed to combine in this one scale and using only one button. It starts off with a clock, as you can see. It does both 12-hour and 24-hour formats. If you press the Victorinox logo button once, it changes to elevation. This I've found to be semi-accurate. You have to recalibrate it according to your local weather data, because if there's a big cold front or warm front coming in, that can mess the calibration up a bit, since it is a pressure-based altimeter sensor. However, on the good side, the altimeter displays very small increments of, I believe, 2 feet, so it gets pretty accurate. Next, you have the barometer, mostly used to indicate weather forecasts. On this side right here, we have the current conditions, -1 hour, -2 hours, -3 hours, and -4 hours. The trend you can see on this graph helps you predict whether the weather is going to improve or get worse. If the trend is going up on the graph, that means good weather. If the trend is going down, it's likely there's a storm ahead. If we press the button one more time, you get to the alarm clock. The alarm clock is a nice feature. It does not have a snooze, but it is decently loud and should be able to work if it's on a nightstand by your bed or if you're in a tent. I wouldn't use it as my first pick, but it's still loud enough that it works. If we click the button one more time, we get to the timer, and you set this by holding down the button, setting whatever time you want on the timer, and wait a couple seconds until you're done adjusting, and it immediately starts going. When it gets down to 0, it will continuously beep until you press the button one more time to stop the beeping. But I'll go ahead and see if I can stop this early. After the timer is the stopwatch. You start it by pressing and holding the button, and it goes on its own. I believe it goes up to, I can't exactly remember, so I don't want to give you the wrong information, but it is a pretty long-lasting timer. To stop it, you simply hold down the button, as so. To start it again, you hold down the button again. And if you want to clear the timer, you just hold down the button, the timer stops, and then it resets back to 0. After the timer is the thermometer. I find the thermometer to be pretty accurate, except for when it's in your pocket or something, of course. If it's been sitting around for a while, it tends to be very accurate. To change some of the settings on this from Fahrenheit to Celsius and a few other settings like that, you press and hold down the button on the temperature settings, and right there it gives you the options of feet and Fahrenheit. You can cycle through pressing the button for Celsius and meters, Celsius and feet, feet and meters, and of course I'm going to stick back with the feet and Fahrenheit. You can also program the altimeter by holding the button down. And I'm going to leave it as it is. And when it asks for standard, if you press the button, then you get the options of cold, hot, or standard. Now, I've found that the temperatures that I'm usually operating at fall under the hot condition. This just adjusts for the increase or decrease in air density according to whatever heat you are in. And it does that automatically for you. One thing I did forget to mention about the barometer, say when I'm driving back home from school, I go over a plateau about 30 miles long, and the elevation ascent is roughly 1,000 feet up, and on the other side going down it's about 1,000 feet down. So when the knife detects this rapid change, it assumes that it's because of a change in elevation and not in a change of barometric pressure. When that happens, the graph completely resets and it starts over as soon as the barometric pressure starts to normalize and stops changing so rapidly. Also, one of the features of this screen, which I don't think I'll be able to demonstrate, but on any of the screens, if you hold down the Victorinox logo for about 1 to 2 seconds, I don't think you can see it, but the whole screen lights up. It is extremely easy to read at night, very helpful feature, and overall, as a daily carry knife, this one has been fantastic. I would highly recommend it. Thanks.